Good morning, students. Students, today we will start with a new lesson in history. The name of the lesson is Changing Life, Part 1. So far we have studied the period from the year 1961 to 2000. Now we know that the speed, or that is the change which is happening in the 20th and the 21st century, has been tremendous. That means things are changing fast. Human life is changing rapidly. Things which we could not have even imagined earlier are now a part of reality. In ancient and medieval periods, religion was an important part of a person's identity. Now, modernization has posed some challenges before all religions, be it Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, or Judaism. So everything is changing, whether it be in religion as well. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar brought about a sea change in our traditional mindset. He brought it about through the medium of the Indian Constitution. According to our Constitution, all Indians are equal before the law, and they cannot be discriminated against on the basis of religion, race, caste, gender, or place of birth. Now, we all know that our Constitution has given equal rights to everyone. Okay, all citizens have the right to freedom of speech and expression. So we have studied previously also in civics that our constitution gives us certain rights. That means right to speech, right to express ourselves. Okay, freedom to assemble peacefully without arms, freedom to form associations, freedom to move, to live and settle down anywhere on Indian territory and to practice any occupation. So we can live anywhere, we can practice any occupation, wherever we want to work, we can go over there. Indian citizens living anywhere in India enjoy the right to nurture their language, script, and culture. Now we know India is a diverse country because we have so many languages, religions, food. Okay, that's why we can choose any language, any religion, whichever we want to. These provisions in the constitution shook the foundation of the caste system. It helped to make the practice of vocations running in the family obsolete. Change became the trend in every field of life. The following box shows us how even machines were affected. Okay, so let's see. Do you know? During the British era, there were four kinds of compartments in the railway train. That is, the first, the second, inter, and third class. Nominal facilities for the passengers traveling by third class and the negative attitude towards them was almost a symbol of the Indian social hierarchy. In the 1978 railway budget, Madhu Dhanwate put an end to this third class. Now, when we go to see in the railway compartments, we do not have third class, we have first and the second class. Later, two trains were started which had no class division. So, there were no divisions, all were treated equally. Namely, Sinhagad Express on the Pune Mumbai route and Geetanjali Express on the Mumbai Kolkata route. Later on, there was no division in class. Okay, everyone were able to travel equally. Thus began a series of minor and major changes in the society. So nowadays we see there are things changing everywhere. Now anyone can go into a restaurant irrespective of his religion, race, caste or gender. Now when you enter in a restaurant, they don't see your religion or caste. Everyone are welcome. In fact, we see boards outside the restaurant welcoming all. Another very significant change during the post independence period is the right to express opinions against the government. So, also, we have the rights to express our opinions, whatever thoughts come into our mind, we can express it to the government. Earlier, there were limits on expressing any opinion against political rulers. Now, Indian citizens can register their protest against the policies of the government, through newspapers, speeches, or other medias. And the next point is the institution of the family. So during the pre-independence period, the institution of the family was an important feature of Indian society. India was known all over the world as the country of joint family. So previously we also know that in India it was a joint family system where all used to stay together. However, the wave of globalization has now given an impetus to the system of nuclear families. Now we also have joint families as well as we have nuclear families. Okay? Social welfare. The objective to establish the welfare state has been incorporated in the constitution itself. India is the first country in the world to do so. The social welfare programs aim to make opportunities for full-time employment, healthcare, education, and development available to all Indian citizens. Indian society is riddled with large scale economic, social, educational, and cultural inequalities. However, it is necessary that opportunities for development reach children, women, the different abled, scheduled caste and tribes as well as minorities. So everyone should get equal opportunities, whether it be in education as well as in job. This was the greatest challenge facing the government during the post independence period. That is why on 14 June 1964, the Government of India constituted the Ministry of Social Welfare. Okay, now let's see the next point, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Now, according to the 1971 census, 22% people in India belong to the scheduled caste, that is the backward caste, the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Laws were enacted so that they got educational scholarships and representation in parliament as well, state assemblies. Some seats are also reserved for them in government services. So nowadays when you go to take admission in colleges or you go for a job, you see they have first preference for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe because they are the backward classes. Next, let us move on to the next point, that is public health, which is an important thing. The Constitution of India states that the primary duty of the government is to raise the people's standard of living, to ensure proper nutrition, and to improve public health. So the most important thing is your health. If your health is proper, then only you'll be able to move further in life. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare at the center helps the state government in this regard to make primary health services as well as medical care available to rural people. So it is very much important first to get medical help in the rural areas because they do not have that much medical help over there. The tribals and the poor was an objective of the sixth five-year plan. Progress in the medical field has made the life of Indians relatively free of health concerns. Nowadays, you see, in health facilities also, there are so many different changes and India is progressing in that. In 1962, the first successful open heart surgery was performed under the leadership of Dr. N. Gopinath at Christian Medical College Hospital at Vellore in Tamil Nadu. Hence, it is no longer necessary to go abroad for such treatment. Now, when there was bigger surgeries like a heart surgery, so people used to go for treatment in some foreign countries, abroad countries. But nowadays, you don't have to go because everything can be done in India itself. Similarly, the invention of the Jaipur foot has transformed the lives of the disabled in India, okay, who cannot walk. They have an artificial foot. They can put an artificial foot and are able to walk. Before 1968, if a person lost a leg in an accident, he had to suffer for the rest of his life. In order to remedy the situation, Dr. Pramod Shetty designed and manufactured artificial limbs, that means artificial legs, noses, and even ears, with the help of the skilled craftsman Ramchandra Sharma. The artificial body parts manufactured with the help of the Jaipur food technology have made it easy for the differently able to walk barefoot on rough surfaces. So they can even walk when they put that artificial limb or leg, they can even walk barefoot. They don't need to wear a slipper or shoe, even on rough surfaces, and even climb mountains, etc. They save on the expenses on shoes as there is no need for footwear on this artificial limb. So they don't need to wear any slipper or shoes for this artificial leg. They can bend their legs at the knees and sit cross-legged. These feet are also convenient while working in wet or water conditions. So when you have an artificial limb, whether if it is in water, if you need to walk in water, you can it's suitable for that also. Next point, we'll move on to kidney transplant. Since this surgery can now be performed in India, doctors have succeeded in saving patients' lives. Such surgeries were not so common in India till 1971. But in 1971, it was successfully performed at the Christian Medical College Hospital at Vellore in Tamil Nadu. So, this kidney transplant also was not first available. This treatment was not available in India. But now it's available, and where we can save many people's lives. Next, we'll move on to the test tube baby. Right from early times, having a baby is considered to be the utmost important in the Indian family system. So it's necessary to have a baby. The support of test tube baby technology has been made available to childless couples since 1978. It was under the supervision of Dr. Subhash Mukhyodapara that the experiment of the test tube baby was successfully carried out at Kolkata. This was the first successful attempt at artificial conception. A girl named Durga was born. This technology helped to solve the problems of childless couples who wanted children. Next, we'll move on to immunization. Before 1978, every year, 6 Indian infants out of every 10 who were born faced fatal health problems. Okay, means many people when they were born, many children used to face certain health problems. The immunization program was taken up to overcome the threat of polio, measles, tetanus, TB, diphtheria, and whooping cough. The pulse polio immunization program started in 1995 has controlled polio. So nowadays we have vaccination also. So with that, we are able to get immune with that. Urbanization, the next point. Urbanization is a process of the concentration of population in a city in the urban area. Increasing population is one major reason for urbanization. We know that in the city areas, the population is tremendously increasing. A few other factors affecting urbanization are air, water, and the economic as well as social organization necessary for community life. So there are other different things also, different problems we are facing. In the context of post-independence India, the increase in urban population is also due to factors such as mortality rate, industrialization, unavailability of means of livelihood in rural areas. These are certain problems we are facing in the urban areas. No proper place. The population is increasing. We are cutting down forests, building buildings over there. Okay, so many people are facing the problems, and we can also see that people from the rural areas are coming to the cities for jobs. Okay, so that's why the population is going on increasing. So to reduce the strain on cities, it is necessary to make jobs available in villages. So you can't just put pressure on the city. All the jobs are not, you cannot make it available. So what they are doing to reduce the strain on cities, it is necessary to make jobs also available in the villages. Achieve a balance in economic development, control the expansion of metros, and provide necessary services and facilities in both urban as well as rural. So if there will be both the sides, there will be proper opportunities in jobs, in education, then it won't be a strain only on the city. Okay. Rural areas. Let's move to the next. A village is a permanent settlement of farmers near the land they themselves tilled either individually or collectively. Now, when we hear about rural areas, we first thing we understand is that it is a place where the farmers live mostly. Villages came into existence when farming began. Villages in India are thinly populated, means lot of people are not staying in villages. A dense cluster of houses surrounded by farmland is a unique feature of the Indian village. In the villages, you will see houses where there is a house, there will always be a farm over there. A settlement smaller than even a village is called a hamlet. Compared to the urban community, the village community is very small. Villages are not uniform across India. There are differences based on regional and physical features. Let's move on to the next point, post independence period. Keeping in mind the goal of rural development, the collective development scheme has come into force. Plans were made for improving farming technology, increasing the area of irrigated land, extending educational facilities, enacting the laws for land reform under this scheme. Now we see in villages also there are certain facilities which are changing, like in farming facilities there are drip irrigation. So with that, what happens, their work is being done faster. Then it was decided to give priority to economic development in villages. The government undertook this work through the medium of gram panchayats, which included the people from all caste and tribes. So there are certain changes which are even happening now in villages as well. Okay, let us move to the next point, that is changing economic life. Earlier, every village was economically self-sufficient. A majority of the villages were dependent on farming. We know that. Farm produce used to be distributed among artisans as payment for their work. Now the situation has changed. Rural areas are engaged in agriculture and occupations. Okay, now certain, I told you, things are getting changed as we are learning the lesson, changing life. So there was economic life also which changed in rural areas. Rural development now, so slowly the villages are also getting developed. Let's see how it's developed. In 1961, 82% of India's population resided in villages, people staying in villages, 82%. In 1971, the percentage was 80. So far, the rural area has shouldered the responsibility of providing food grains and other raw material to urban areas. Now we think that people who are staying in villages, they don't do much work, but from where are we getting the food grains? We are getting it from the rural areas, rural from the villages only. Okay. And then there are three major challenges with reference to rural development, namely bringing about economic development, developing facilities to meet social needs, and finally bringing about a change of attitude in matters concerning society, culture, and way of thinkings. Then the same way in irrigation project, as I told you just now, in irrigation also there is drip irrigation, water irrigation. So with that, what is happening, their work is being done faster. Let us move to the next point, that is social needs and facilities. It is necessary to give priority to facilities for public hygiene and healthcare. Okay, so that's also an important point. Where you are staying, that place has to be clean. There should be public hygiene. Okay, so with that, what will happen? Your surroundings will also remain clean. There will not be a spread of any kind of disease. Even today, the rural population faces problems related to year-round provisions of drinking water, toilets, open drainage, narrow roads, inadequate electrification. So nowadays, even now, the villagers are facing certain problems, like they don't have drinking water facilities, they don't have proper toilets, they don't have proper drainage system. So these certain problems they are even facing till now. There is a lack of good quality educational facilities. So we also know about that. That is why people from the villages are coming to the cities to get good education. Then that is why it is necessary to give special attention in rural areas. The collective development scheme has an important place in all the first 5 years plan of the government of India. The state of Maharashtra registered remarkable achievements under this scheme. For example, Zila Parishads were established in 1962. So, after certain time, there were certain changes also. There were certain schemes which were made so that the villagers also get the opportunities which the city people have. Okay, so then there was a nutritious diet scheme which was launched in 1970 or 1971. Then there was another scheme, that is rural water supply scheme, that is for the wells to provide proper water to the villagers. Then by 1971, 6,677 small dams had been built in the villages so that they get enough water. Next, we'll see to it is the next point is rural electrification. Now, we have heard mostly that in the villages they don't have proper electricity supply. Okay, electricity is essential for the development of rural areas. So, to change their things or to develop a village, we need to have electricity in that area. Automatic pumps are needed to water the fields. So there should be pumps. Now we know in the villages there are lands where they are growing ample of crops. So for that they need automatic pumps where they can water their plants. Electricity is needed for that. Okay, so to preserve perishable food items, so to have to keep their food items also, they need electricity because they need a refrigerator where they can store. So they need all these things, that is such as milk, eggs, fruits and vegetables to run fertilizers project, and for fans and TV, and for lights for studying at night. So these are all the things which they require in a village. During the first 5 year plan, electricity has been provided to 3,000 villages in India. So slowly it's getting developed, where we can see there are 3,000 villages in India where there is proper electricity supply now to them. By 1973, it reached 1,38,646. So we can see that there are changes which are happening in the villages. From 1966, it was decided to supply more electricity for pumps and bore wells. Rural Electrification Corporation was established in 1969. Rural electrification cooperative societies came into being in the states of Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. So all these states slowly, okay, started getting changed, and they even had that electricity supply which they had in the cities. They also had that. Okay. Next, we'll see the last point, that is the industrial development. A village industry planning committee was formed to help the development of industry in rural areas. By 1972, 1,06,000 persons got employed under the scheme. The government of Maharashtra has also started residential high schools known as Vidya Niketan in Satara, Aurangabad, Nasik, and Chikaldhara. Their purpose is to provide the best quality education to intelligent and meritorious village students. So now we also know this is one major problem, that they don't get proper educational facilities. So that is also a thing where in the villages the people should get it. So the purpose was what? To get a best quality education in the villages for the students that who are living in very unfavorable condition. As per the recommendations of the Kothari Commission, agricultural universities were also started at Rayuri, Akola, Parbhani and Dabholi in Maharashtra. In recognition of the work done in the field of education, UNESCO awarded its international prize for the spread of literacy to Maharashtra in 1972. So, in 1972, there was a change where people in the villages also were getting educated. In this way, overcoming the obstacles at the beginning of post-independence period, India began to develop and make progress. So during the post-independence period, India were facing many problems, that is obstacles, but they slowly they started changing. Okay, with that, what is happening? If you change, there is development and progress. So in the next chapter we shall learn about how the developments are there in other fields. So here we end with this chapter. We will learn the next chapter in the next video. Thank you for listening, children. Goodbye. Take care.